Today is December the 10th. Isn't prophecy a bit like shooting an arrow at a barn and then drawing a target around it? Let's find out together as we look at Isaiah chapter 9. So, as we've worked our way through prophecies about the Messiah, we've seen a couple in which the Old Testament actually is not referring to a prophecy. New Testament authors looking at Jesus and then looking back say, oh, well, that must be a prophecy. Isn't that a little bit like shooting an arrow at a barn and then drawing a target around wherever it lands? You look back and you say, oh, well, that must be a prophecy. Well, in Isaiah chapter 9, let's read the first 7 verses. Nevertheless, that time of darkness and despair will not go on forever. The land of Zebulun and Naphtali will be humbled, but there will be a time in the future when Galilee of the Gentiles, which lies along the road that runs between the Jordan and the sea, will be filled with glory. The people who walk in darkness will see a great light. For those who live in a land of deep darkness, a light will shine. You'll enlarge the nation of Israel. Its people will rejoice. They will rejoice before you as people rejoice at the harvest, and like warriors dividing the plunder. For you'll break the yoke of their slavery and lift the heavy burden from their shoulders. You'll break the oppressor's rod, just as you did when you destroyed the army at Midian. The boots of the warrior and the uniforms blood-stained by war will all be burned. They'll be fuel for the fire. For a child is born to us. A son is given to us. The government will rest on his shoulders. He'll be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. His government and its peace will never end. He will rule with fairness and justice from the throne of his ancestor David for all eternity. The passionate commitment of the Lord of Heaven's armies will make this happen. As we look at this passage, and especially as we come to verses 6 and 7, Isaiah paints a picture of the promised land. He tells Israel what will happen when the Messiah comes. There is no other king that fulfills these verses outside of Jesus. Look at the names given to him: Wonderful Counselor, Almighty God, Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. His government and its peace will never end. There is no other king that fulfills these verses. We see 3 themes again, verses 6 and 7. The coming person is a king. He is clearly a king. The government rests on his shoulders. His government will never end. Secondly, this is God. This is a verse in the Old Testament that clearly says the coming one is Almighty God. And then he is clearly identified as one who brings justice. He will rule with fairness and justice from the throne of his ancestor David for all eternity. No, Old Testament prophecy is not like shooting an arrow at the side of a barn and then drawing a target around it. It is clear. There are occasions in which New Testament authors pulls a verse from the Old Testament and applies it to Jesus. But there are also verses that are super clear, just like this one. Here, Isaiah says, the coming king will rule with fairness. He is God. Please like, follow, and subscribe to this devotional on whatever platform you use to listen to it. We'll see you in church on Sunday.